All right, we're live.
I'm waiting for. Did you have anything you're showing of theirs?
The only thing that I'm showing is just there is something that I can show for John. It's just a Vimeo clip.
Yeah, well then show it.
I'm still waiting for it to download. We'll have to show it on the break.
This is episode 15, right?
Yep.
All right, guys. Sorry, we're running a little late. Apologize. But we are now ready to go. Blessings to everyone. This is StormCrow Dreamers talking to episode 15, man. So of course you have my co-host Mark Potter, and then of course Lola. Right now will be the time. Eventually we'll get some sponsors. This would be the time where I would promote their business or their product. If you're interested in what we do here at StormCrow, then feel free to hit up Mark and he can talk to you about that. Again, hope everyone's having a beautiful week, blessed day. We're going to get right to it and bring the guests in. Who would you like to bring in first, Mark?
Let's go ahead and bring in John Cabellero.
Okay, John is an indie producer. He's also a big tech guy and a big Trek guy. Get that, tech and Trek guy. He's indie produced several films and web series and stuff like that. And one of them is a very big thing on Star Trek. He's a big fan of Star Trek. So let's bring in John. Okay, John is a. Yeah, you have to make sure the volume's down if you're. How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well.
Okay, let's bring in our next guest. Sadie has been an actress for a long, long time. Her list of films is like endless. She's worked with huge actors, indie actors, all sorts of things. She's got a lot of talent. Great person. Let's bring in Sadie Katz. Hey, Sadie.
Hey.
Just remember to have the volume down if you share the show. Turn the volume off on the share. So very beautiful, you guys. We're a little late, but we're going strong. We're going good. I want to start off right out of the bat. We'll start with John. John, what is a project you recently worked on that you're very passionate about?
Well, currently Jeffrey Morris from Future Dude Studios is working on repitching a project called Parallel Man, which is Earth in a multiverse where the Alpha Earth is trying to steal the resources of other Earths, and there's conspiracies involved. And another project that he's working on is called Persephone Colony 1, and that's about man's colonization of a planet orbiting Proxima b, which is in the Alpha Centauri area, and alien life struggles to survive for the crew.
So both sci-fi, so you're probably going to need at least a decent budget to make it look good.
Yes. Jeff is looking to get the Parallel Man picked up, and I believe he's already working with Pinewood Studios on Persephone.
So he's already got funding for one, and he's trying to get funding for the other.
Exactly.
Very cool. Now I know you've done in the past, though. You did the Star Trek thing, right? You're part of the Star Trek web series.
Actually, it was a full-length feature called Star Trek Horizon. Sci-Fi Wire Sci-Fi Channel's Internet Magazine ranked Star Trek Horizon as the #2 best Star Trek independent film in 2017. And currently, there's over 10 million views online since the release in February of 2016.
Very, very beautiful, man. I'll have to check it out, dude. I don't think I've seen it, but as we talked about, I'm a big Star Trek fan, man. I grew up on Scotty, more power. You know, so I love William Shatner's over-exaggerated acting. It's very, very...
Yes, I get in trouble because I make fun of William Shatner. Gene Roddenberry was actually a family friend. My granddad and Gene flew together when they worked for Pan Am. Gene actually was in a Pan Am aircraft that crashed, and he was actually pulling passengers out and received a commendation for his adept piloting skills.
Very beautiful, man. All right, now, Sadie, tell me something you've recently worked on that you're very passionate about.
Well, I actually just did a sci-fi movie, so in vain with you guys, it's more, I think, a cheeky sci-fi movie called Automation. That's about a robot.
Comedy.
I wouldn't say it's a classic B movie, so I don't think it tries not to be conscious that it's a B movie and just revels in, like, you know, the old movies. So there's no.
So, trying
it's
to be
not
serious, it comes across as kind of B spoof.
No, I think it's sincere. It's like, you know, it's a movie about a robot that falls in love with the lead, Alyssa Dowling, and I'm the co-lead. You don't normally see these kind of movies with two female protagonists. And the robot.
The only one that would come to mind.
Huh?
I said Thelma and Louise would be the only one.
I know, right? Well, this movie's kind of like that, except we were taking on the robot. It's going the robot's suffering from PTSD. And it's actually kind of a cute, sweet script that doesn't poke fun of the genre. It kind of enjoys it. The same way, you know, Star Trek is a particular genre, and, like, you know, they're not conscious that they're Star Trek because people love it. So it's kind of cool. It's I'm really stoked about it. And I'm in it with Alyssa Dowling, who's a hot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so how long was that shoot for?
You know, these films, we do them in about, I want to say it was 14 days and then like a couple days pickup.
Wow.
So,
a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very short for a feature.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes I get a little bit worried. I read your script. It's very good,
Thank
but
you.
that needs a big budget. You know, like
we're going. I think we're trying to get a $750K budget. I think.
Yeah. So, you know,
and
I think
two name actors.
Right. Do you have any names in mind?
We have a few. We have a few that we like, you know, that we think might be attainable. One is probably borderline attainable. One of the guys, though, for the Preacher, we like the guy that just played the main adversary in the Punisher series.
Right.
Name Ben something. Played what's the Jigsaw in the Punisher.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the Preacher, which is only like what 3-4 scenes.
Doug Bradley's not. It's not Jigsaw. Who's Jigsaw? Doug Bradley? No.
Oh,
What now?
I'm saying who's Jigsaw?
Jigsaw, Punisher, Netflix Punisher TV series. That's the character in the Punisher series.
Oh, great.
Which is like the main villain of the season 1 and season 2, kind of, pretty much. Series. I don't know if you watched Netflix stuff.
No.
So it's pretty big because the guy that played Punisher was the guy. I forget his name.
Oh, I know who you're talking. So I know who you're talking.
He was in Walking Dead in the original first season, or
the
something.
Big guy, yeah, he's perfect.
The guy with the dark hair that played Rick's like counterpart or whatever.
Sure.
and then he was in the Punisher originally. That role was in the original Daredevil Marvel Netflix.
So you were talking about Ben Barnes.
Who?
Ben Barnes.
I don't think that's the guy, dude. But I mean, I can look. Punisher cast.
Yeah, it's Ben Barnes.
Oh, Ben. Oh, you're talking about the guy that I'm talking about playing Jigsaw.
Yeah.
That is the guy, but I was just referencing the main guy, which is was it John Bernthal? Is that his name? Yeah. But yeah. Okay, so let's get on to back to John. You already said you already kind of talked about a future project, couple projects, and you talked about a past project. Is there anything you're currently working on that you're excited about now? Now you also do more than just help produce indie films and projects. You also act as well, don't you?
Well, I've done a little bit of acting. My love is actually helping to get other people's projects produced. As you all well know, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of funding and a lot of publicity to get projects done.
Especially, I think the first one. If you can get the first one made and the first one makes money for people, then it's easier to then therefore get money for another project.
Exactly.
But your first ones was a fan thing, which really make money. You can't by definition make money with it because then it wouldn't be then you're playing with copyright stuff. So,
well, there was initially when Star Trek Horizon came out in February of 2016, and then later that year, CBS came out with the film guidelines, and that kind of put the brakes on Star Trek Renegades. So, in the middle of shooting, they de-Trekified the script and became their own independent product. And they pitched it to CBS, and they didn't bite. CBS obviously had something else in the works, Discovery, and they're now working on.
I mean, even though Netflix and all of them have broken a lot of barriers, no-name artists getting big opportunities, the old school studios are not very likely to use someone that doesn't have an established name, regardless of how good the product is. Now, what they might just buy a product straight out from someone if they're really excited about it. But though that's still old school Hollywood, big studios, CBS, NBC channels, TV shows. They're very much old school. You have to be in the ropes, like have a name and stuff like that. Although that, you never know. They might eventually have to change if Amazon and Netflix and all these other Legion M and these other companies keep bringing out kind of name talent that make films that make people money. Then they might have to. But I think that's going to happen again before the old school people actually would change their dynamic. So it's a very tough sell.
I'm really excited about Parallel, man. Even though it's been out a little while, it's still the concept is very fresh. And if you're into animated, it's spot on. It has a lot of intrigue. It's suspenseful, and it doesn't leave you wanting for action.
I hear you. I mean, that's the way I write scripts. And Sadie's read one. So I need constant kinetic movement, action going on. And I think you can do all that and still have character development and still have a good story and all that kind of stuff. I think old school, the first original Star Wars was a great example of that. Had great character development, ton of action. You know what I mean? Like story. You can do those things. A lot of Hollywood nowadays, they just kind of tend to go, let's not worry about the script, let's throw big actors in a bunch of action and blow shit up and special effects, and then we'll be able to cover it. But the reason I think a lot of Marvel movies have done well is because they actually pay attention to the writing. But seriously, yeah, it's to me, writing, it starts with writing and ends with writing. So you got to have you can't, even if you're great writing, yeah, of course you got to have great directing, great acting. But you can have great acting and great directing, but a crap story, you're kind of in shit creek. What is a project you're about to start? Because I know you're like you have endless projects that are in like line.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say. Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be starting Secluded Lodge with Silvio Nacci in Italy in May, the end of May.
Wow, Italy! Get a trip to Italy.
I know, isn't that? It's so funny. It's like sometimes you're on location here in LA, and then you get to do something really exciting, and you're like, well, this is why we do what we do. We get like a little vacation. I'm going to stay in Italy a week after, have my fiance meet me there. So, and I'm going to need it because this script is it's a revenge thriller. It's really smart. It's very scary. And I'm actually like intimidated when I think of shooting it because it's so intense. So I'm like, okay, I keep giving myself like, after shooting it for
overall, the film is intense, or specifically your role is intense?
Oh, the film and my role is it's a revenge thriller. It's in the woods in Italy. It's very
Well, say hello to the spirit of one of my inspirations while you're there, Sergio Leone.
Oh, please do tell.
Yeah, throw a well, he's one of my film inspirations, him and of course, and Del Toro and others. But
they love film there. They love it differently. I feel like this director is much more like hands-on than I'm used to. He's amazing. I've known him for several years, but he's like Skyping rehearsals and everything's very like a little bit of magical realism, and that's kind of very Italian. It's
Skyping like rehearsals.
Like we've gone over the script a few times, and I'm meeting with the actor here.
I mean, it's safe. It's a very safe thing. I mean, I would hope that, like when I'm shooting Blade and Blood, I'm going to be so stuck in trying to do pre-production and costuming because it's going to have to be such intense costuming and props and make that world live. I would rely that I cast my actors brilliantly and that they show up.
Sure. I mean, there's only a few people in the script, so there's a lot going on that's more about the acting than the world is already kind of established. So yeah, normally in films, you don't necessarily need that, but he's very particular, and I think that's
it's like, smart on his part. You have the time to do it. It's safe. I mean, it's safe because you can give them a lot of direction before they ever get to set.
Yeah, and we only have 2 days before we start.
If you're taking that role of direction, you don't want it to go at all. You can go, hey, you know what? Before the shoot, hey, I envision it a little more this direction or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we're only there 2 days before we start shooting, then we get into the shooting. So yeah,
it's smart because I know in Blade and Blood, I'm going to have some actors show up on set and not know their lines.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think most actors show up and they're off book and they're ready to go as much as they can, because I mean, not knowing your lines when you show up is kind of an actor's nightmare. Like, we don't want to be
Marlon Brando.
So if you have an actor doing that, like, that is literally, to me, like, that makes me.
I'm like him. I'm hands-on, but I'm hands-on on set. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm on my lighting, and I'm hands-on on my framing, and I'm hands-on on the overall look and feel. And I'm good at getting what I need out of the actors. You know what I mean? So, and then I think the key, though, is just choosing the right actors to begin with. And then,
Sure, I think so too, especially when you have a script with so many characters. You could never do that, but you might meet with your leads, like normally have coffee or something with your leads and like make sure you're on the same direction.
Certainly, yeah, we'll probably be flying people in a couple days early on.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're not on like the first day of filming and
have them come to set and like have lunch with them or something like that while we're on set.
Yeah. and everyone hugs and like, yeah, let's do this. Film family. Yeah.
Yeah, and also they can kind of watch some scenes they're not in for a day or two and then get the feel of the story.
Yeah. And everyone's kind of also, it gives them, if you're shooting on location, it gives you time to like settle in and sleep and, you know, get your skin looking good from the plane and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a good thing to also have them all at the same hotel room. So they can like,
Sure.
hotel room, same hotel.
And everyone, you know, when I was in Germany and I shot Blood Feast, everyone was staying in the same hotel and we had so much fun. It was like,
yes, I know. I want to be at the bar.
Everyone was so, they just like everyone, oh, look at you.
Lola, she's the star of the show.
Oh, definitely. I've seen Lola before. So cute. So yeah, I think it just makes everyone a little more excited to be working together and a little more camaraderie.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, what would be your ultimate goal as a producer? What kind of film? I'm guessing maybe it's a Trek thing, but what would be your ultimate goal as far as producing? Now, I'm assuming you come in. I mean, unless you're a billionaire, and I don't know, you tend to deal with like small, like more indie realm projects for the most part, right?
To this point, it's been all independent. One of the projects had a $1.2 million budget. Several projects have had multiple episodes where each episode was funded at $150K plus. Some smaller projects, obviously lesser. But my ultimate goal would be to have a production go into multi-series. Persephone, it's a step back into the renaissance of sci-fi in the likeness of movies like 2001 Space Odyssey.
Well, that's a slow character study. So is that what you like?
Well, character development is important, but we can't.
Very little action, and it was mostly all story and characters.
We have to develop the story as well. Mm-hmm. So, I
mean, 2000 Space Odyssey was a brilliant film, but it was very much a character study. It was very much the whole film was about the people and dealing with this situation. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I could see Persephone ending up in a couple different sequels. There's a lot of
young or just indie filmmakers write with franchise in mind. Whatever you're writing, write with franchise in mind. Because if you're a no-name guy, the way you're going to get recognition most times is that they can look at whatever you're doing and see multiple avenues of profit in it. You know what I mean? Like you can see a myriad avenues splitting off of it and enough money to make off of it that it interests them. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
So whatever they write it with franchise in mind when you're writing in the script. Write the script so that it's in the script that they can envision that. Whether it be sequels or whether it be whatever it is, they envision a stream of money coming more than once.
I think the legacy is important. Not just telling a story, but having something that lives on. I mean, if you look at Space Odyssey, it just had its major anniversary. I believe it was 50 years.
Well, and that film opened up a lot of doorways in that storytelling genre for a lot of people. Up until that point, if you said sci-fi, it had to be a bunch of crap being blown up and people being shot. In reality, the decade prior to that, it was almost also on the verge of horror where it had to show titties and, you know what I mean? If you're looking at sci-fi back that far back, you know what I mean? Most sci-fi back then were on the B market pretty much. And they had to have violent action, lasers, and beautiful women, and one or two love scenes.
I like...
and so that changed a lot for that movie, because that movie was a serious, Oscar-worthy film of writing and acting. You know what I mean? So
there have been so many films that are transformative. Look at Blade Runner. The
same thing, yeah.
The visuals, the soundtrack. It's just it leaves a legacy, and it gives a mark for other people to shoot. So listen, I want to do something.
No, I mean, there's films that definitely change the landscape for people that follow. I mean, it's what we're trying to do with Blade and Blood is we're trying to kind of do that visual of like a Blade Runner kind of meets Sin City kind of thing. So I hear, and those were both transformative films. When Sin City came out, I thought there would be in the next few years after that, you would see a ton of films doing that color emote thing where your eyes came into color, lips came into color, because they've done so brilliant and so beautifully. I was for sure thought I was going to see like quite a few films come out doing that, and then no one really did it. Maybe because it was black and white noir, and that people don't want to mess with that or something. I have no idea, but.
Well, have you seen the latest Alicia Wicklander's movie? And I'm probably going to get heck for mispronouncing it. It's Ex Machina or Ex Machina.
I did. It was good.
AI.
Yeah, Ex Machina.
Yeah, the trailer is
it was weird.
Illustrates the dichotomy between idolizing a person and feeling attraction toward something, and not knowing who's telling the truth. It's very much a psychological thriller.
About that film, though, is like the first over half the film, it was a character study. And then all of a sudden, it completely changed.
And it happens.
Stop action, man. I mean, like because usually films fall in like one or the other category. You have like character studies will have one or two scenes of action, but it's mostly the whole film is about the characters and dialogue heavy and all that stuff. And then action are the opposite. But in that film, dude, literally, I thought I was just going to watch an entire film of like this drama and character study and tension and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden at the very end, it turns into like battle galore of like fighting, you know?
It's like falling off a waterfall.
Yeah. It was, yeah. Or that log ride at Disneyland, man, where it's like mellow almost the whole way through. And then it nails you at the end with the. But I hear you. Yeah, I mean, what would you say, Sadie, is a transformative film that comes to mind that changed the landscape for movies that followed it?
Well, Ex Machina. How do you say that?
I forget. I don't know how you say it, but
yeah. I saw that in the movie theater, and I remember like when it was done, I was with a friend of mine and my son, and we couldn't stop talking about it. It was like,
yeah, it was very.
It was very like that, and I think, I mean, I'm trying to think. I think in Get Out, in certain ways, was like in the horror world was kind of revolutionary.
I don't know if I've seen that. Who's in it?
Jordan Peele is the one who did it. And I think that kind of changed what you could do with horror films. But like, I mean, I think Pan's Labyrinth is a really good.
Oh, that's a master class in noir lighting. But yeah.
Like, yeah, once you see that, you're like, it's something different, and it's really. I don't even know if it's a horror film. But
he won the Oscar for Color of Water just because he didn't win the Oscar for Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, for Shape of Water. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I didn't think Shape of Water was that great, but Pan's Labyrinth.
Cinematography, it's always beautiful. Anything he does is beautiful.
Of course, it was beautiful, and I didn't get as into.
I agree with you, but people said it was because when Pan's Labyrinth came out, he was the new kid on the block, and Oscar, especially back then, was never going to give Best Director to the new kid on the block.
He should have won, though. It was like
he killed every other movie that year. It was the best film by far.
That movie had me like crying, screaming.
Yeah, but you know how Hollywood works, man. Hollywood's like old school, and he was like no-namer at the time, kind of like he wasn't like really well known.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other movies that kind of changed the rules. I mean, I think Baz Luhrmann back in the day with like Strictly Ballroom and Romeo and Juliet. Like some people don't like him, but I think he created his own.
Well, I'll do a whole series of films. John Corman's film.
Yeah.
Corman's films basically, even though they're in a lot of ways, they opened up so many avenues for so many filmmakers, for so many, what you could get away with, what you could do, what you could,
yeah, but that's a money thing. I mean, even if you think about it, like, so Blood Feast, the original by Herschel Gordon Lewis, was the first splatter film. So when they made that film, that paved the way for Saw, for, you know, all these.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of those films. I don't like violence. I mean, I don't mind violence. A lot of my films have violence, but I like violence with a violence as part of a heavy story. And I think in like Hostel was more like the point was violence, the point was the torture.
Yeah, I think those films, I mean, there's people who love them. They're almost like popcorn films, the same way Corman uses boobs, they use blood.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting, especially for people who are into special effects. It becomes, you know, we're watching it and we're seeing like, oh, there's a girl getting her legs ripped off. It's disgusting. But people who are fans of that genre will tell you whether or not it's done well, how that compares, and there's kind of like a weird art form.
I'm a word guy, so to me, it's gotta have like story. So it's with something without story is difficult. But then I love action though too. So I mean, like I have trouble going to do watch straight character study films. I start yawning and falling asleep if it's just like King's Speech won Oscar, but literally it's people just static talking at each other the whole film. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm
great dialogue, great acting, this type of things that win awards. But I was just like, oh my god, I can't even. And I don't even think that film had even.
Did you like The Wife? Did you see The Wife with Glenn Close?
Is that The Good Wife?
Good. No, it's just The Wife.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
The one that was just in the Oscar.
Yeah, and I mean that's like, it's really like, it's just because she's such a good actress, and they did a really good job at like, you know, the tension was in the story, but that's really hard to do, you know. And of course you have, and you know, Glenn Close, so it's a little bit easier when you.
There's a reason she's been nominated like a zillion times.
Yeah. And she's so good in it. Like it's hard to breathe because you feel her angst.
She's like the female version of Anthony Hopkins.
Oh yeah, and I dare say that, and I love Meryl Streep, but that she may be more talented in a certain way because she's still so private. Where I think Meryl Streep, we know more now, so she used to be like the queen of everything, and I feel like there's a mystique about Glenn Close when you watch her work. You really don't know her.
Put them about equal. I would put them about equal, probably.
Right?
They're
okay.
Female icons of.
Yeah, and they're still old school. It's not like you're seeing them.
They've done so many different kinds of roles.
Yeah, I mean, I love Meryl Streep. I met her and she's amazing and fabulous. But I thought something was odd about Glenn Close's performance because it was so unsettling.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
it's good.
Let's go back. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a 5-minute break, you guys. It's been an awesome, great conversation. I want to try to get John a little more involved. These are artists, John. You got to just shove your nose in there and start talking, man.
No, it's part of being successful is listening to what other people have to say, because
I know, and what makes a good producer. Producers are really good. They're good at both, but they're a little more willpower and restraint than most actors and writers and directors.
I think one of my favorite rules of life is no one's smart enough to be a dictator.
Yeah. Well, they try anyway. So, but to me, filming has always been a team sport, and one of my biggest beliefs, and it was kind of re-emphasized by, I've worked on about 4 Clint Eastwood films, and he's very big on this, is respect to the crafty guy, respect the background, respect your PAs. Everybody gets respect. If they don't, you're fired. And that has been my mentality, and what I want to carry on into my features is that would be one of the first meetings I would have with the entire crew and the heads of departments is I I know film can be a stressful place, but treat everybody around you as the way you want them to be. You know what I mean? So because then you get better product, better work, and better everything. You know what I mean? If you're pissing people off all across the set, then you're going to get less work out of them, less quality work, and just less work. And it's just non-productive to a good project. You know what I mean? You want, basically, everyone I want to work with me, from investors to actors, when I'm done shooting, I want them to all say, hey, I want to work with this guy again. You know what I mean? It's a great project, money for everybody. If you're an actor that advocated you as an actor, all that stuff, I want them to keep coming back, especially the money guy. Keep coming back. But anyway, we're going to take a 5-minute break, guys, and then we're going to, so don't log out or anything. Just leave your system up, take a 5-minute break, go to the bathroom, go have a drink, whatever. And then we're going to come back and do the half all about, let's just talk about stuff in life, and, you know, and it's kind of based on the original, not the one that's now, but the original Politically Incorrect way back when with Belmar. It was actually on TV, couches and stuff like that. But the first question I'll give you when we come back, it's the one I ask everybody. Although you guys both kind of, or at least Sadie answered it a little bit. Name the best film you've seen in the last 2 years and why.
During the break, I'm going to play because the video is 13 minutes long. I'm going to play.
Play the whole thing. We'll come back in 13 minutes. Is that what are you playing? John's Star Trek thing?
Oh man, I forgot. Hold on.
Well, just play 5 minutes of it and then play the rest to end us out.
Parallel Man. I'm going to be playing Parallel Man.
So play 5 minutes of it, and then we'll play the rest to end us out at the end of the night.
Okay.
And then it'll be recorded on the show. And
all right, I will do that.
5, you guys. You've been watching StormCrow, Dream. StormCrow, dreamers talking to dreamers. Keep dreaming. Come back in 5. Say Lola, come back in 5. Lola, 5 minutes. Okay.
Why did you bring us to this particle accelerator, Agent Morgan?
I'm looking for something.
You were assigned to gather intelligence on this world's military infrastructure. Yet we are 700 miles northwest of our intended target of Washington, D.C. The ascendancy requires...
I'm on a different mission now, Atlas. Activate mag boots.
Mag boots activated. The annexation of Beta 76 is scheduled to occur within the next 48 hours. There are no other priority missions. Do you care to explain?
You're just gonna have to trust me. Boots off. Activate aquajets.
Scans indicate a quantum signature from Alpha 1. The accelerator must have obscured it. Why would matter from our universe be here? What is that object? Its design is not listed in my archives.
Maybe those archives don't tell you everything. Uh-oh. We got company.
5 Ascendancy commandos from the Hellfighter Squad. Perhaps they're here to assist us.
Not likely.
Quantum signature detected, Major. The component is directly below us.
Why is it moving? Hellfighter, weapons free!
Jones!
You are in possession of Ascendancy technology. Stand down immediately.
Boots off! Alice, get me out of here.
Hover mode activated. Clearly, they have not been briefed on your current objective.
Yeah, I guess not. Want me to skip out of here?
Without mission specifics, I'm unable to comply.
Fine, then I'll do it blind.
Wait, you can't.
Where are we?
Gamma 89.
China, America. It's not where I wanted to be.
Agent Morgan, calculating the topography of the target universe is an essential element of any skip. You could have killed us.
Calm down. We made it. Traveling refinery. That's something you don't see every day.
This is a Class 3 Gamma Earth. It is listed as unfit for annexation. We should leave immediately.
If you don't like it, get us out of here.
I have detected 4 skip signatures.
Damn it, they were close enough to track our quantum residue.
Apparently so.
Can you plot a skip they can't follow?
They're too close.
Then I'm gonna get a lot closer. Go to sub mode.
And then come back to video.
All right, we're back.
All right, so you didn't have you have your okay. So now pause that where it is and play the rest at the end.
Oh, when I when I go to a different scene, it'll pause the video.
Okay, so just play the rest of it at the end.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Hello. We're gonna now move into the roundtable part of it, but I asked a question before we went to break. Let's start with John. John, what is the best film you've seen in the last 2 years, and why?
Well, I'm a big history buff. I liked Hidden Figures. It tells about the origins of the space program and the people behind the scenes. And being here in Florida, we're
So it's a documentary, or is it a film?
Yes, it is. I actually, when I was my family's been in Florida since the 1800s. So when they renamed Cape Kennedy or Cape Canaveral to Cape Kennedy, I was part of the program or the effort to change it back to Cape Canaveral. And
it's just a better name anyway.
Well, it's the Kennedy Space Center. But there's a lot of history out there. It's if you've never been. I
remember Cape Canaveral. I remember that as a kid.
And when I worked for IBM, I actually did a lot of work out in the original NASA building. And probably some people will remember I Dream of Jeannie. and they're always going into the NASA building.
Yeah, I grew up on I Dream of Jeannie, and I grew up on Bewitched. I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island, I Love Lucy, Happy Days, Star Trek, the original one.
And then they would never show Jeannie's navel.
Yeah, it would go up above her belly, up to her halfway up her belly. Yeah. Yeah. And then I Love Lucy, they always had to sleep in separate beds. So husband and wife had to sleep in separate beds.
On opposite sides of the room, no less.
Yeah, I always thought that was funny.
Or swapping up.
So definitely so it's a documentary on the beginnings of the NASA. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. The concept is before there were wide use of computer systems, they crunched all the numbers manually, and they had all these people that worked behind the scenes, and hence the term hidden figures. And in one scene, one of the astronauts said, I need this person to check these figures before I'm going to agree to anything. So it was very suspenseful. I mean, I thought it was good to see a lesser known aspect of the space program come forward.
Very cool, man. I watch those kind of things periodically. They're cool, like kind of the beginnings of, or the whatever you're talking about. I watched, I think it's Noir Lighting. So I think I forget the name of the documentary. There was a documentary on Jewish film directors that came over in the 30s, and really a lot of them were the ones that started the studios, several of the big studios in Hollywood. But they were the ones that brought over that whole noir feel, leaving Germany and that area, coming to the Hollywood. And that was fascinating. But yeah, there's always, I love watching those biopics, the documentaries about things. You see on the History Channel. It's one of my favorite channels, probably.
Well, I do have a recommendation. I understand First Man was pretty good, but Apollo 11, which is out in theaters now, highly recommend Apollo 11.
It's another documentary.
Yes, it is. Some of the best Saturn footage you'll see.
Very, very cool. Okay, Sadie, what about you? What's the best film? And I mean, you might have already mentioned it. So what's the best film in the last 2 years?
Hidden Figures isn't a documentary, it's a drama, right?
It is? It's a film.
It's a film.
Oh, okay.
It has,
I don't know.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen a promo for it, so I have no knowledge.
I'll send you a link later on, JD.
Okay. Okay, so Sadie, what's the best film you've seen in the last 2 years?
Actually, since we were talking about dramas, docs, I thought Won't You Be My Neighbor was kind of special in a, speaking of like nostalgia movies and TV shows, like,
Is that Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, I thought that was really kind of.
Hey, I grew up on that.
Yeah, it kind of caught me by surprise because I haven't seen something that pure that you just couldn't look away. There was like a sweetness to the film, and I found myself like getting emotional during it throughout, and like really excited.
One guy could own so many ties and sweaters.
Yeah, well, there was no there wasn't kind of the suspense built into it. It was so precious and wonderful that you kept thinking, like most things today, that there's going to be a horrible twist.
Yeah, like some angle.
Yeah, and the twist was that he was actually a really decent human that no one like had anything bad to say, and there was something kind of beautiful when you were done. You went, oh, this is a really amazing, sweet, kind,
There's no like he cheated on his wife 8 times.
No. Or he got too famous, or for God's sakes, like the Michael Jackson thing did. So I thought that was a good film because it was just the film itself.
Yeah, I think I watched parts of it where he was doing like Senate hearings, trying to get funding and stuff like that.
So I mean, it was really, it's this great story of somebody who wanted to do the right thing and actually was rewarded, and who was a very meek, sweet, kind, used to be a minister, creature, and he went up and did the win and got public access TV, which all of us grew up on or know kids that like that meant something to. So I thought it was kind of like an everyman hero.
Hey, I used to
movie.
watch Electric Company. That was public access.
Yeah.
I remember they had the first Spider-Man ever on TV. They had a little vignette. If you ever, I don't know if you've ever watched Electric Company, but it was a bunch of little vignettes that they would repeat.
Wasn't it 3, 2, 1 contact? Wasn't that the Electric?
And then I remember that they had a Spider-Man one where he would just put his hand out. You would hear this sound effect.
Yeah.
And then the camera would pan, and all of a sudden the enemy had a giant fake-looking rope that it would be like over the villain. But that was the first time you ever saw Spider-Man before the cartoons, before all that stuff. It was Electric Company.
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, so, and it wasn't until a few years after that they, I think, made the first animated series for Spider-Man. And then I think the first animated superhero thing was Justice League. I think it was. No, we had Space Ghost and all that stuff way back when, but
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
But very, very cool. Okay, so this has been something I've been reading a lot. It's kind of hard in Hollywood. It's very difficult because not even just in Hollywood, but in our society in general, there's a lot of deception, a lot of crap and lies everywhere, misinformation, whatever you want to call it. And let me, since we're all people involved in film in one way or another, one of the terms I heard the most in the 8 years that I was in LA, and the one that I probably despised the most, because it seemed to be that seemed to be the mentality of a lot of people, was fake it till and I'm the opposite of that. I'm like, go earn it and learn the skill sets and all that stuff and earn your way. But it seemed that I heard that comment over and over again all 8 years I was there. I mean, I was on a lot of different TV and film sets because I did background and stand-in and all that stuff. What is your thoughts on that, whether it be positive or negative? We'll start with John. I'm sure you're familiar with the term.
Yeah, yes, I've heard the term. The actors that I've worked with, I've learned a lot, and I would say practice your craft, learn. Every moment you have on set or behind the scenes, it's a learning moment. If you look at Richard Hatch, Tim Russ, he's one of the most detail-oriented directors that I know. Working with Walter Koenig, absolutely phenomenal experience. One of those, hey, we need you to stand in moments, and oh, by the way, you'll be reading lines. You sit down, they give you your sides, and they're shooting 5 minutes. So definitely preparing yourself mentally, learning your craft, being a better you.
Whatever. There's 1,000 roads to Damascus. I don't listen to anybody when they say this is the only way to do something. There's no one way to do anything. There's a lot of ways to do everything. And whatever works for you, and it's great for you. I just inherently, to me, when I would always hear that fake it till you make it, I just, to me, grated on it because it was like, to me, it's about putting work in, putting sweat in, and not telling people like, I remember I worked on Mentalist. Yeah, Mentalist. And the whole episode was about this like pitching camp, like baseball camp for 17, 18-year-olds that were like phenoms in high school or whatever. So it was a camp for baseball kids to come and whatever. So the main star of the thing, a kid gets murdered, whatever, the Mentalist does his thing. The main guy that they hired the guest star is like, I think in real life he's like was 23 or 24, but he's playing like this 18-year-old pitcher. He told them that he had been a complete athlete all of his life, and he could totally do the whole baseball pitcher thing. Whatever. They hire him. He gets on set. He was the most uncoordinated dude. Literally, they brought him on set a week before that episode. It was so bad. They then spent the money to hire a baseball coach to come in and try to like make it even look like he could pitch. And then it was still so bad that they ended up having to then hire a stunt double to come in, which changed their whole way of how they were going to shoot it, because they couldn't go close or near him when he was on the mound. And a lot of the scenes were him on the mound. And it turned out this kid had never played athletics in his entire life. He was a now that I'm pretty sure that he didn't make that company happen, and they probably said a lot of crap to his agent, and that word got around on that kid. But that's kind of the example of like, to get the part, whatever you need to say. You know what I mean? Like, and not everyone does that at all by any means. I know a bunch of brilliant actors that are very talented and have worked a lot, but that stuff does happen, and I can't even count how many times that stuff does happen, and whether they got the role or not, that they said they could do something they couldn't do. And the overall mentality, I remember one guy saying once, I'll just watch a YouTube video. And I had to do it. I think it was like a skilled hair cutter or a hairdresser or whatever. And this guy had never done that before, and he auditioned anyway, and said he would just watch a YouTube video on how to cut hair. But anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Sadie?
I would say no. I mean, you know, if you're dealing with obviously like a huge budget production, like then you should assume that they have money to train you. And if you're not, then you should assume that they probably don't have money to, you know, deal with the fact that you lied. I would not recommend that. I mean, I think that there's sort of an element with people being on social media where they think they're bigger stars than what they are, because of Instagram, or they have a ton of followers. So in a way, they're faking this fame that doesn't translate off of Instagram. It's like,
yeah, but it's also almost automatically you can see it.
Yeah, it's sort of. I'm like,
all the people that say public figure and name, and I'm like going, oh my god, man! Like real celebrities don't put public figure on their.
Yeah, I think it's kind of goofy. I mean, I don't want to like.
I mean, it might be beautiful
put
people,
anyone down for their effort.
And like nothing, no IMDb, no. I mean, like literally, I'm like going, why are you putting public figure?
Well, it's very select, so I think people are under the assumption, I guess, this generation. I mean, I have a 17-year-old, and my 17-year-old is like, you know, you try to teach him something. He goes, oh, I don't want to. I'll just look at YouTube and I'll watch a video. And I don't think that that's always the best way to learn, or to, you know, like you should go to a barbershop and learn how to cut hair if that's what you're doing. Because you're doing yourself a favor, you're doing your director a favor. So I think the less you fake it, like, you know, I'm going to put pictures of being at like premieres up. This is what I do. I'm promoting myself, but I don't want that to be like the focus, which maybe is why I only have 6,000 followers and not, you know, 30,000. But I don't want to put like bikini pictures up every day of myself to gain followers and then think that they're actually there to watch my movies. Like,
yeah, but I also think that's misleading as well, because I look at how many likes they have. If it says they have 65,000 followers, but then you go look at a post and it has 100,
yeah,
that tells me that most of those 60,000 followers are fake.
Yeah.
You know
Which
what I
I
mean?
think is most of it. I mean, I go in a lot of people I know, I look at their followers and then I look who's following them, and I'm like, these are not real. Like, there's no way to have 50,000
Well, that's
followers.
how a lot of those companies work. When you like pay a company to get you followers, it's like they just add numbers and like create accounts, have a bunch of creative accounts, and
which, you know, I think that's, you know, fake it till you make it type thing, but I don't think that actually translates.
I mean, I think it did when those things first started. There was a guy that Warner Brothers signed like a 3-picture deal because he had some little skit he shot that had like 5 million views or something like that. I mean, like insane amount of views. But this was before YouTube had put in where it used to be where you just like your own video over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Really? And it didn't, and they hadn't put in that software yet to identify it as the same viewer. So this is like, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever. So this guy literally had put that video up, and all he did every single day was click, 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 click all day long until it got to a couple 100,000 views, and then it finally got hooked on the search engines, you know, big enough where it came up in searches. So then he had to do that less because then it was coming up in searches finally and getting real clicks.
Was it good? Was the video good?
No, it wasn't good. And then they I think they gave him the film Blood Rain with Michael Madsen, which was like the most horrible casting I've ever seen in my life. Like New Yorker Michael Madsen, whatever. They cast him as like this sword-wielding barbarian in a fantasy film.
Hilarious.
I love Michael Madsen. Give the guy a gun, let him act like a gangster. The guy's gold, man. But this is an example of like trying to get a name actor, but not actually fitting the role in the film. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
And it was like a New Yorker in a fantasy world walking around with a sword. I'm like,
oh, you got it done, yeah.
Like, I mean, even Tarantino and Kill Bill was smart enough to just have Michael Madsen hold the sword for a second and then put it back in and take out a gun. You know what I mean? Like, I was just, oh man. And then he never made another film, I don't think. I think that director, they signed him for a 3-picture deal. They put him on, I think, Blood Rain. If I remember correctly, it was a while back, like 10 years ago. And then that film was straight to video, and it was horrible. And then that was it. He still got his millions of dollars that they paid him on the contract or whatever. That's an example of serious corporate. I mean, whoever gave him that contract, I'm sure probably didn't have a job for very long. But
no.
But such is existence. Okay, Mark. What's your question? I know you got one.
Okay, so I know y'all, you know, you're an actress and you've produced films and you're the director for the state of Florida, director for the director of IT is what I believe you said.
Yes.
What do you do in your free time? What do you do recreationally?
And then you got to direct it towards someone to begin with.
I'm gonna let's hear from John first.
Mark's a little rusty. I didn't let him do it last week.
Okay, well, I grow orchids. I love to cook. I'll build things, repair things. I like being out in the yard. In my spare time, I will do electronics prototyping, etch my own circuit boards, things like that. So it's a variety of different things. I like I'll do a lot of things outside because I'm inside most of the day. And I'll tell Sadie, my 24-year-old is exactly the same way.
Okay. When do they stop being that way? I don't know.
He's 24. It's like my dad was, and I was always hanging around with my dad, and we were always learning how to do something. And so there's literally just about anything I can do around the house. And I said, would you like to learn how to do something, work on this? And he'll say, no, I'll if I need to know how to do it, I'll just go up to YouTube. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Sadie, same question. Same question. What do you like to do recreationally?
Well, I mean, I just got engaged, so I think, that's kind of exciting. In fact, I'm moving tomorrow. So, and I have my son. So a lot of my stuff's probably more around family, and I like to cook. Hobbies. I'm a big. This site I've got by my computer. I'm doing 12 Angry Jurors, 12 Angry Men. So I have a play thing, which I guess is still the business. And I think in LA sometimes you get a little bit like myopic, where that's like what you're doing. So I'm kind of a foodie and like to have a glass of wine, and my fiance, if you look behind us, is really into tiki. So that's kind of fun, going to tiki bars. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's like mid-century modern, making everyone nauseous. So yeah, I mean, I think LA we have so many friends in the business. I don't know about how it is in Texas and Florida, but you end up getting together with them. I like to go bowling.
I love bowling.
I like the bowl. Yeah. It's fun.
So I think there's something fun about getting games and getting people together. And, although I keep saying I'm going to learn an instrument, I used to play tuba and viola, and I really want to learn to play cello, even though I don't play anything right now.
Hey, cello is just one step away from a stand-up bass, man.
I know. So I think that would be, it's like on my list of things of like, now my son doesn't live with me anymore. And so I have a little bit more time, and, I
Very, very, very
don't make
beautiful.
circuit boards though. I feel very left out. I'm not making any circuit boards.
No, but I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I do play video games, stuff like that, but
Did you play Red Dead?
I work, what?
Did you play Red Dead?
I did. I didn't finish it because I had other games came out. I still have it up on my PS4. I got about like a little like second act or something like that, and then problem is another game comes out, and I start playing that, and then I'll go back and finish. And I played that Sparta too, or the Assassin's Creed, the other one. But right now I'm playing just two, I think. But I work full time, but also like with Blade and Blood, like literally, like between the talk show, Blade and Blood, Lola, I get that it's hard to like try to fit, and then I read a lot, but that's about it. And then Mark plays heavily with his lightsaber.
No,
Go get your lightsaber, Mark. I've mentioned your lightsaber 1,000 times in these shows. So go get your lightsaber.
Okay, hold on.
I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I've mentioned it in humor, like in every episode, and I've yet to.
Is it like deluxe? Brace us what we're going to be seeing here.
Sadie,
Star Wars.
Yeah.
In my defense, I've been an engineer for about 40 years since I started touching computers in high school. So
did you hit Commodore 64?
I'm a geek. My first computer actually did not have a floppy drive. It actually had a tape drive that a cassette recorder that you actually had to plug into.
Okay, let's see it, Mark. Let's see it.
All right, so
actually, it's not a. There you go.
Okay,
there you go. Look at that.
This right here is an Ultra Saber. This is made of aircraft aluminum, so it's actually hard to break. And this is a durable plastic, like a heavy grade durable plastic, so it won't break as well. So you could actually spar with this. But anybody
the only thing I say is, like, occasionally you keep hearing his girlfriend in the back going, "Mark, quit playing with your lightsaber."
I've broken I've broken the living room the light to the
light.
yes. I was we had a lot more space here in the living room, but if anybody knows episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the Obi-Annie spin.
Yeah, they would know that, but yes.
I've practiced enough that I can actually do the Obi-Annie spin.
Have you been able to do it without breaking things in the park?
I do it out in the yard.
I see. So your lady of the house finally put rules on you. That's good, man.
Where's
I got
more lightsaber in the house. Okay, now I'm glad that you finally brought the lightsaber because that has rejuvenated my reservoir of humor I can do in future shows, man. So
this actually is the lightsaber of Starkiller. I don't know if you've Starkiller is
it's probably the animated series. Right?
He is the Sith apprentice for Darth Vader. And anybody who knows me knows I love Star Wars. So there's Darth Vader.
Man.
So there's Darth Vader too.
You and John can have battles between Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah, what does John think about that? Are you into Star Wars?
No, he's a Star Trek fanatic.
No, but I mean, is it exclusive or inclusive?
I'm inclusive. I appreciate the movies. I prefer the earlier movies because they're telling the story, original story. The later movies I feel are just a retelling of the story for a newer generation. Though Solo was interesting. I had a hard time believing Woody Harrelson as anybody other than the drunk in Cheers.
Hey, come on! Woody Harrelson has done amazing films, Natural Born Killers,
True Detective.
Yeah, True Detective, the zombie one, and True Detective. He was a hardcore alcoholic druggie who touched a teenage girl's booby. I'm telling you.
Well, Cheers and Frasier are big reruns with my wife.
Huh? Zombieland, I thought it was great. I love Zombieland. In fact, they're, I guess, shooting a Zombieland 2 in Atlanta. They just are starting. And I'm hoping they bring back the grandmother who won Best Kill Award for a zombie. I'm hoping they.
Oh, interesting, huh?
Yeah. Remember the beginning of the film, they did, and the Best Kill Award goes to 98-year-old.
I will say this: Woody Harrelson actually did a great job in The Hunger Games.
Yes,
I really like that.
I agree there.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we're nearing the end here. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to have you guys look at the camera and give advice to a younger you, someone beginning out, trying to aspire to the same things you're aspiring to, and then give them advice. Mark, when we get, when I say tonight of the show, run the rest of that animation. Okay? And don't stop recording until it's run through, and that way it'll be in the recording. Okay, so we'll start with Sadie, and then we'll go to John. Give advice to a young you aspiring to be an actor.
Oh boy. I think the biggest advice I would give is to have some other means of income to kind of survive pursuing what you love. You know, and I think a lot of actors think of just cocktail waitressing or waitering, but that takes a lot of like energy. And so if you can find something else that surrounds that, it takes kind of the weight off of your craft. And being that, I think it's also really important that you really are like study your craft and care about it and enjoy it, because fame and all that kind of thing, it's not that enjoyable unless you're actually like, even if you're doing the cheesiest movie ever, if you're coming to it with like honesty and really caring about it, it kind of gets you through when you don't get the results you want. Especially if you're like doing TV or something and you're doing guest stars. That sounds really good to other people. But I have had friends who like, you know, you're only playing small world. So I think you have to find other ways to fulfill the artist in you. So you keep at it. That would be my advice.
And it's beautiful. And to me, that's really paying the dues of an artist, is actually working and taking responsibility for your life and paying your bills and all that kind of stuff while pursuing your art. But I think you're right. I did waitering for a long time, and it is very spiritually draining to try to do that energy for auditions or artistry type thing. I hear you, but a lot of people go that route because they can work 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, and still make enough money. Now, John, what would you advise to a young guy trying to be an indie film producer?
Well, embrace your creative side. I was definitely very much here and now in my younger years. Look more toward the future. I can see where I am now versus where I was as a teenager, and I think I could have been a little more involved in filmmaking and more in the creative aspects of more CG. Could have been doing a little more behind the scenes, and I really enjoyed the work that I have done, and I'm looking very much toward the future.
Definitely, man, and I'll give advice. I know in now spending an hour and a half talking to you all, you're both very beautiful spirits and you're both very driven spirits. And so I have utter and total faith in saying that both of you will achieve whatever aspirations that you have, because both of you come across as people that won't stop stepping towards them until they arrive. And this is what I always tell people, man, all great things, all huge, great, positive things are just a small steps put together. You know what I mean? So it's great to have a goal, but understand just step towards it. Little steps, big steps, because that's what makes up the big thing is all the little steps. So but don't be overwhelmed. Focus on that next step and keep moving, you know? So I as always, I thank Mark Potter for not only co-hosting, showing his phallic lightsaber on screen. And then I also thank both of my guests for being beautiful people and for spending their time with me on a Thursday night. And then Sadie learned something, at least one thing new, Central Standard Time.
It's like, that's so embarrassing. I really I turned to the person I had the meeting with. I said, "Do you know what Central Time is?" And he goes, "Doesn't that mean like Mid-America?" And I'm like, "Of course."
So yeah, there's actually, for you folks out there, there's actually 4 time zones in the United States.
I do know that. I
Los
don't
Angeles. Then there's like Arizona, the next couple states over. That's Mountain Time, which is like 1 hour difference from Pacific Standard Time. Then there's Central Standard Time, which is like Texas up to Chicago area, Illinois, down. And that's Central Standard Time, which is 2 hours behind, or 2 hours ahead.
Ahead.
Of California. And then you have Eastern Standard Time, which is New York, all of that.
I thought you were from LA, so when you said I saw the C for Central Time.
I did. I moved here about 2.5 years ago to help my mom, or about 3 years ago now.
Yeah, no one really writes Central Time. So it's so rare. I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, there are people that are outside of New York and LA. And they all have their own. Hey, but you know what? Life is learning, man. Life is learning. The day that I've been writing for 30 years, the day I can't get better or learn as a writer is the day I need to stop writing. So it doesn't matter how, that's a long pursuit. You know, you always can get better no matter what you're doing. Or how long you've been doing it. But anyway, it's been very beautiful, you guys. Big love to you all. Big love to my guests, John Cabellero and Sadie Katz. We're going to play out, Mark, get ready to play it out, the rest of the animation. As soon as we say goodbye. And then, of course, Lola, StormCrow, dreamers talking to dreamers. If you want to be on the show and you've done some stuff as an actor, writer, filmmaker, musician, model, then message me and we'll figure it out. Anyway, beautiful blessings. Sayonara. Adios. Hasta luego.
See ya.
All right.
He's going under.
He can't stay submerged. That sludge will eat him alive.
Taylor!
Damn it. Stay on target.
We are 20 seconds from hull compromise.
Then it's time for some sky.
He's gone. There's no way we can catch him.
We lost 2 good men today. I'm not losing that component.
Major Cartwright?
What?
Based upon this skip flash, the metacar appears to be damaged.
This isn't over.
What the? Where'd you bring us?
I'm not sure. I was targeting Gamma 31, a fungus Earth.
I'm not seeing any mushrooms, I'm seeing dinosaurs. Hell, I'm seeing dinosaurs riding dinosaurs.
It would appear the KPG asteroid extinction never occurred on this world. Evolution of large theropods continued to present day. Flight systems have been compromised. We have to set down for repairs.
Are you kidding? Not down there.
Hostiles! Primitive weapons! Stay sharp!
Nesbit!
Bastards! I'm hit!
Major Cartwright!
Keep after him. I've got this. Who's next?
You're right. I can't keep this in the air much longer. We need it. Wait a minute. Oh boy.
Perhaps it's time for an evasive maneuver.
Okay then. We're hit! Time for that mushroom world. Now, Atlas!
I calculate an 84% chance of arriving safely at the target Earth.
Better than a 100% chance of dying. Do it!
You know what, Major? I think we're gonna have to let this one go.
Prepare for impact.
Switch to hover mode. Better get out there. Check the damage.
Wait. Unless you want to be eaten alive by fungal parasites, use your EnviroSkin. The entire atmosphere is full of deadly spores.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. This nanopatch should take about 5 minutes to heal.
In the meantime, you owe me an explanation as to why you are evading Ascendancy forces.
What do you know about the Revolt of '88?
The Futurists? They were scientific dissidents, enemies of the state.
My grandfather, Tobias Morgan, was one of them. He hid the component I retrieved from the lake.
Then he is a criminal of Alpha One, as you now appear to be.
He is not a criminal, and I can prove it. Pull up a holomap of Chicago in Beta 76. My grandfather's been living in that world for over a decade. He designed a weapon that could stop the Ascendancy forever. This component is the key to arming the device.
You sound like a terrorist, Agent Morgan. I will not be a party to sedition.
Come on, Atlas! You've been my assistant since I left the Academy. We need to trust each other.
If you wanted my trust, then why did you disconnect me from the central cortex?
I wanted you to think for yourself. 11 Earths conquered, tens of billions enslaved. Do your own analysis.
I suppose I couldn't until now. I find it all quite confusing.
You've been fed lies, just like the rest of us. Skip us back to Beta 76 and I'll prove it to you.
If I discover that you're lying, I will lock down all systems and skip us back to Alpha 1, where you will be arrested and tried for treason.
You could have done that all along. Why didn't you?
Let's just say there is something in my programming that's been nagging me since my inception. You may be onto something.
Well then, there's only one way to find out.